I have a severe and unhealthy obsession with efficiency. This translates to my channel, whose entire genesis was, why the hell are video essays so long, just say what you need to? But it also affects my gaming, as I often struggle to enjoy the journey of games as I race towards the destination. See, I feel like to review the story of a game, pacing is incredibly important. But there's an obvious problem. Games don't force us to experience a narrative at the same pace, and frequently encourage us to go off the beaten path. This has always been a struggle for me, as I usually want to continue with the core narrative and see what happens in the main plot. I also admit that I feel a slight rush to try and beat games in the weekend they come out, so I can begin writing about them on Monday, but I often don't achieve this goal with excessively huge games like today's subject. Because Assassin's Creed Shadows was the first open world game since Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom that I actively felt like I could explore. I wonder how many people just clicked off the video. Now, let's be clear, Zelda and Elden Ring both have the greatest exploration this medium has ever seen, and Shadows is most certainly a checklist open world where secrets are almost neon lit as you go around the map completing objectives. Now, these types of open worlds are also great, but in a satisfying dopamine-inducing chill out while listening to a long-form video essay way. But it's not the exploration that made me feel like exploring the open world was okay, it was the story. Zelda and Elden Ring's stories are rarely discussed or even mentioned when praising these two games, but they both play a critical role in their titles' legendary status. See, the reason I want to continue on with the plot in most open world games is because the pacing of the story is written with such a sense of urgency. CD Projekt Red in particular is really bad at this, because both Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk put an express time limit on your character, with the Wild Hunt looking for Ciri and Johnny Silverhand taking over your mind, and then present you with a dizzyingly deep open world that it's impossible not to get lost in. Zelda and Elden Ring's stories are in the background and facilitate the player taking as much time to explore the world as they want. I know some of you are rushing to talk about how Zelda is holding Ganon at bay, but she's done this for over a century, and she gives no indication that her seal is weakening. But what about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Its revenge narrative seems pretty pressing, as it's surely the only thing our protagonists are thinking about. But the careful way Shadows not only frames, but paces this revenge questline is tailored specifically to match the open world. Firstly, the game never explicitly calls the revenge questline the main story. Now, it obviously is, but it's still worth noting that's not how it appears in the Objectives tab. Instead, it's called the Shinbaku Fu questline, and positioned in an identical, albeit larger structure, to the other questlines found throughout the game. This is Ubisoft attempting to de-emphasize the narrative importance of this group and position them as just another part of the Shadows experience. It further frames these missions as pseudo-optional by not putting them in any narrative order beyond recommended level. The game feels like a series of side quests that culminates in a grand main quest rather than a continuing narrative. But the pacing of these missions, and in fact the entire game, is what really elevates the story to match the open world genre. Despite the enormity of its overall runtime, Shadows breaks down every single one of its activities into bite-sized chunks and is careful never to keep you away from exploration for too long. While from a narrative perspective this hurts the game as it can never get a good pace going, it complements the gameplay by allowing for frequent breaks that can often be found as quick detours on your way to the next objective, and I'll always support sacrificing the story in order to benefit the gameplay. But I'd be dishonest if I didn't address the elephant in the room as to why Ubisoft structured the game to make everything seem like side content. It's a deflection of criticism for microtransactions. In one of the most baffling examples of monetization outside of the fetid pit that is live service, Ubisoft lets you purchase an XP booster so that you can get the game done quicker. I'm not proud to admit I fell for this scheme when I played Odyssey, as I was sick of grinding and really wanted to see how Cassandra's tale unfolded, but by reframing the main narrative as multiple mini-arcs that don't affect one another, AC Shadows completely removes the pacing from its plot and focuses it on the gameplay. It's no surprise you could cut out almost the entirety of the second act and still follow the storyline easily, because the game is trying not to rush you. While I appreciate the de-emphasis on the microtransactions, it's still a baffling choice to give your player the option to pay more money to play less of your game. Ultimately, Ubisoft has written a story that's in service of its gameplay, and given that they're not exactly known for having the most sweeping narratives in the industry, I think this is an extremely positive shift. For more Assassin's Creed Shadows essays, here's one talking about why the new canon mode is a brilliant addition, and I'll be back in 2 days.